Don't marry a jealous or overly insecure person. This statement would seem to be a truism. You probably don't want to spend much time with these people, period. You might cross the street to go away from these people. You don't want to be friends with these people, so why would you marry this person? Well, sometimes we're too close to an individual. Sometimes we don't recognize these things. In this recording, we're going to discuss three things. We're going to define, for the purposes of your marriage decision process, what insecurity and jealousy are. We're going to talk about how you can find some of this in your partner and in yourself, and then we're going to discuss how you can deal with it. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Alex Blassingame. So we all experience some level of insecurity and jealousy. We all have things about ourselves that we don't like that we like more in other people. We don't like how we look, we don't like our voice, we don't like how much money we make, we don't like our car, we don't like how we act in social situations, and we are envious of people who do better in these things. This is just part of being human. You're not going to find somebody who doesn't have one of these problems lurking somewhere deep down in their core. So that's just how life is. When this becomes a problem is when somebody has an abundance of these, let's just say, negative traits, and they can affect how they act. They already are affecting how they act, but if you're going to pair yourself with someone for the rest of your life, then it can place a lot of stress on your life, on your marriage, on your children, on your family, and you probably want to think about these issues prior to putting a ring on. So I'm going to put on my armchair psychologist hat for a moment. Bear with me, and let's define, just for the purposes of our discussion here, these two concepts. Insecure. This is an internal thing. When someone is insecure, they are finding fault in themselves based on an ideal version that they have for themselves. So you see yourself as this Olympic deity, and you are not, and so you are insecure because you don't compare to what you think you should be. Before we get started on that, do me a quick favor, click that like button, push the subscribe button, and the notification bell. It'll let you know when I add a new video to my playlist, and it'll help me out too. I really appreciate it. Jealousy is the external projection of your insecurity. So you're finding fault with yourself based on comparing yourself to other people. I don't make as much money as my neighbor, my boss has a nicer car, I'm not as nice as the guy down the street, whatever it happens to be. These concepts can go hand in hand, but I want to treat them as separate concepts because people react differently based off of internal insecurities and external jealousies. So now that we've found these insecurities and jealousies, we've defined them, let's go and find them in yourself and your partner, because I guarantee that they're there. Now, we're not trying to get the skeletons out of their closet. We're not trying to make a voodoo doll and stick pins in them or something like that. All you're trying to do is gather data and say, is this person maybe a little too insecure for me, or do they have a little bit too much jealousy? Okay, and then we're going to talk about how to deal with those things, or if you even want to deal with those things in the third part of this discussion. Let's talk about insecurity. And here's a couple examples. Someone is vain. How can you tell? Maybe they always spend 3 hours getting ready for every date or everything that you do. And this is not just about women. Guys do this too. Go watch American Psycho. If it's not overt, how could you maybe see if another person has problems with this? Internal insecurities about their looks. When you go out on a date, you're sitting in a restaurant, you're walking through the park, you're doing whatever. Or, in a movie. Look at how your partner's dressed, look at how they keep their hair, whatever it is, and just point out another person who looks different. Maybe if you're a guy, you point out another woman who's perhaps attractive, who has her hair up. You say, I like it when women keep their hair up. That's all you got to do. Very subtle. Or say you watch a movie and there's a woman in a nice dress. Or there's a man in a suit. And you say, I like it when people dress like that. I think that looks very attractive. I think men look attractive in this suit. I think women look attractive when they're all dolled up. and then just sit back and watch. Are they getting defensive? Do they look horrified that they're wearing a t-shirt? Do they now wear their hair up all the time? They could do that because they just want to look nice for you. You're going to have to interpret this event. Here's another big insecure topic. Overly sensitive to criticism. Criticism really of any kind. You may have seen this in this person. Maybe it's not something that you've ever done, but there's people out there, if they get any criticism whatsoever, they fall completely to pieces. So you may already be aware of this insecurity in your partner. If that's not the case, and you're curious, here's what you can do. At an appropriate time, not right after sex or something highly emotional, but let's just say at just some normal time, give your partner some mild criticism. If they want you to read a work project, look at it and say, I don't think this is your best work. I don't think you did your best on this. I think you could have done better on X. I mean, it could be a project. It could be something at home. It could be how they clean the bathroom that day. Who knows what it is? Give them a little, just mild criticism and see what happens. Do they get all pushed out of shape? Do they start yelling at you? Do they cry? I mean, what happens to them? Put that in your mind. Let's talk about external insecurities or jealousy or envy, whatever you want to call it. Big one, money. This happens with men, right? Say you're a woman and you're a high power attorney or something. You have some kind of job where you make a lot of money and you're dating a person, and while they have a job and it's a good job, you vastly outrank them in terms of income and perhaps influence or something. But right now we'll talk about money. This can be a jealous topic for men. Maybe this hasn't come up. Maybe he's paid for everything. Maybe you've gone Dutch. Maybe whatever. So here's how you can kind of just poke this a little bit and see if your partner is going to have an issue with money jealousy problems. When you go out, pay for them. If you've already done this, great. If they have no problem, fine. Just watch for them. Go take them out to a nice dinner and pay for it. Insist on paying for it. See what they do. Or buy them a gift. Or when you go on vacation, pay for the vacation. I mean, you can take this as far as you want. People have different limits. But see where this leads you. If the guy gets really awkward about you paying for things, you say, I really just want to pay for this. What's the problem? Oh, well, I need to pay for it because I'm the man and I'm the breadwinner, even though I only make minimum wage and you make $200,000 a year. That's a big flag. You should start thinking about that, right? Is this guy going to get more like, is this going to change? Here's our last major topic, and this is also under jealousy, and it has to do with being overly jealous or covetous of your time. Does your partner always need you to call them every time you do anything? Do they call you 10 times a day? Do they always need to know where you're at? That's a big signal right there. They have some insecurity issues, right? They've got some jealousy issues with you leaving them or not giving them enough time because that makes them feel valuable perhaps. Also, here's another one. Are you a woman and you work in a male profession? Or are you a man and you have female coworkers that you need to work with all the time? Does your boyfriend or girlfriend get jealous? Can you say, oh, I'm going to go have lunch with Jamie, my coworker, because we're friends at work and we just want to, and it's just a work lunch? Is that going to be an issue? It shouldn't be an issue, right? Let's just say that this shouldn't be an issue if you have trust in your relationship. If you don't have trust in your relationship, then you don't have a relationship. So that's how you can poke them. You just say, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm with this other person of another sex at work, or you know what? I'm just not going to call you as much, or maybe you just don't call them that day, or whatever. You turn your phone off. What happens? Do they drive down to your work to see what you're doing? Run an experiment. All right, so now we've defined insecurity and jealousy. We've talked about how you can find it in people and your partner. Now we need to know what to do to deal with it. I'm going to go back to my original statement and everybody needs to just confess and say, I have insecure problems with myself and there are things that I'm jealous about. There's always things that you don't like about yourself, no matter who you are. And you are always jealous on some level. The grass is always green somewhere. Even if you're not raving lunatic jealous, there's something that you want that somebody else has. So just admit that to yourself. And then understand that your partner will have these problems too. Let me also remind you that, as we've had said in previous discussions, you cannot change people, and you do need to settle if you're going to get married. So keep that in mind too. You are not perfect, and neither is your partner. And you will not be able to just magically fix their imperfections. So what do? I look at it as a very black and white thing, typically, right? You can either gather this data about this person and move forward in your marriage decision process and address it with them at the proper time when you're going to be honest with them and say, I sense these things about you. Are these issues? Let's talk about them. Or you could gather your data and you could say, I don't like this person. I'm done. And you just punch out. And then that's good too for you because now you're not wasting time. If you decide to move forward, like I said, you need to be honest with them. Very honest. You could say, look, you take forever to get ready. I love you. I love how you look. I like you naked. It doesn't matter. You don't need to spend 3 hours. This is really starting to affect me. This is making me not want to spend time with you. So what can we do about this? And they might say, oh, well, I don't know. As they get more secure in your relationship, they should feel more comfortable about looking more disheveled with you, one would think. So if you don't point this out, though, they might not even be aware. It could just be the routine that they're in. It could just be their habits. So you need to talk about it. If they're overly covetous of your time, discuss that too. I mean, you could say, what do you think I'm doing? Am I doing sexual tricks for coworkers that I spend time with? I mean, what is happening here? What do you imagine is happening when I don't respond to your text every 5 minutes when I'm at work? There are women at work. There are men there at work. What's the problem? We work together. Who cares? If you can't get over this, then we can't move forward in our relationship. So what is your problem? So that's it. Pay attention to human frailties. Realize that you have them too. And you can't fix people. So you're going to just have to accept them. It's part of the whole package of a person. It's part of what makes them them. Something else to consider is, are this person's insecurities the reason why you are attracted to them? Be careful with that. If somebody being needy and reliant upon you makes you attracted to them, and for some reason, somewhere down the road, they don't have those insecurities, they grow as a person, then will you still want to be with them? What I think you should be trying to do is find a person that you can live with and be happy, realize that you both have insecurities, but also that you're both trying to overcome them. And then when you come together as a team, as a partnership, you can solve these issues. You can heal each other if need be. You can come together. You can be that person that gives the person the security to say, hey, you know what? I was having jealousy issues because I've had these problems in the past. I was having these covetous money issues. I did feel ugly, but you make me feel beautiful. I know I don't need to worry about that now because I'm with you, because you've helped me to realize that broken as I am, I'm a valuable person. Let me know how it's going dealing with these insecurities. Leave me a comment. Find me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Visit my website, alexblastinggame.com. Thanks for watching. There'll be more. Who are you? Who is that masked man? I do 1,000 crunches. I put cold spoons on my face, and then I use a moisture rub, and then I blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my, I don't see it.